Hi, I'm Gary from Allegiant Tech Service. Today we're going to talk about the Von Duprin 88 series devices. We're going to cover some maintenance, repairs, troubleshooting, and conversion of device functions. The Von Duprin 88 device is one of our old-style crossbar devices. It consists of three main components: the active case, the crossbar, and the inactive case. The Von Duprin 88 device has different trim options available: the TP trim shown here, or lever, knob, or just key operation. We'll cover trims more later. We'll start with some operational tests. We want to make sure that the latch fully extends. It should extend a full 3/4 of an inch. And we also want to make sure that the crossbar fully retracts the latch so that it's flush with the case when depressed. We want to be sure that all the fasteners are installed and tight, especially the wedge tight screw and the axle. The most common issue we encounter for devices needing service in the field are the wedge tight screws. The wedge tight screws are what anchors the crossbar to the lever arms. There's a wedge tight screw at both ends. Crossbar is adjusted with the wedge tight screws at the time of installation. Over time or through abuse, additional adjustments may be required. But first, here's a few examples of a misadjusted crossbar. Because the wedge tight screws are facing the ground, when they get loose, over time they'll fall right out. If the wedge tight screw falls out, the arm is no longer rigidly mounted to the crossbar, causing the crossbar not to respring back to its rest position and also causing the latch to not fully extend. The springs that return the crossbar to the rest position are all in the inactive case by the hinge. Even if the wedge tight screw on the inactive case is loose or fallen out, that will affect the operation of the device as well. You'll see the latch is no longer fully extending. To properly adjust the crossbar, we need to loosen both wedge tight screws, lift up on the crossbar, and while holding the crossbar up, tighten the wedge tight screw at the hinge end, followed by tightening the wedge tight screw at the active case. The crossbar is properly adjusted when, regardless of where you push on the crossbar, you get 100% full latch retraction. Even pushing at the very hinge end of the device should fully retract the latch. Ideally, the wedge tight screws should be very tight, as tight as you can get it with the tool provided. One way to prevent wear and tear is to ensure that both sides are dogged when you're dogging the device. Both the active case and the hinge side should be dogged when the device is to be unlocked. The wedge tight screw system we've been discussing is mounted on the arm and actually consists of three parts: a sleeve, a wedge, and the screw. As the screw is tightened, it spreads the sleeve and grips the inside of the bar, holding it in place. The wedge gets inserted into the top of the arm, sleeve goes over top, so that the hole is aligned with the screw hole. Once everything is aligned, insert it into the bar. Everything aligns with the hole in the bar, allowing you to install the screw. As you tighten the screw, the sleeve inside will expand and grip the inside of the bar, making it rigid. The arm's held in place with an axle that goes through the arm and through the housing. To install the arm, position the arm in place, line up the axle, and insert the spring-loaded portion while holding the main axle portion. When inserted correctly, you'll hear it click. The inactive case at the hinge side assembles exactly the same way. Insert the arm, insert the axle, insert the spring-loaded portion, listen for the click, and it's fully assembled. To remove the arm, look for the axle that has the cross. Use the tool that's supplied with the device, which has a hollow end that fits over top of the cross. As you squeeze, it compresses the spring portion, allowing the spring portion to be pressed out followed by the main axle portion. The inactive case is quite simple. It houses a spring that returns the crossbar to the rest position. It's lubricated at the factory with Duralube synthetic grease. Over the course of time, it may accumulate dust and dirt and require cleaning and additional lubrication. We recommend lubricating the spring shaft, the underside of the tabs, as well as the underside that contacts the arm point. Here we have two different active cases, an NL function active case and a TP function active case. With the NL function active case, the key retracts the latch. Using a screwdriver to simulate the key, turning the key retracts the latch, removing the key re-extends the latch and the door will lock. With the TP, or thumb piece active case, the thumb piece lifts the lift finger, retracting the latch. Turning the key, one complete revolution moves the locking bar down to block out the thumb piece, locking the outside trim. Here we've removed the back plates from the active cases. By removing the 4 screws, the back plate assemblies come off. Here we've got the NL night latch back plate, and here's the thumb piece, the TP back plate. As you can see, the internal parts inside the active cases are exactly the same. The only components changing are the back plate assemblies. Conversion kits are available to convert an NL to a TP function. It's easily done by removing the back plate, the NL drive, and installing the thumb piece components, and the thumb piece back plate. We've now made the NL device a thumb piece TP device. Here we're looking at the internal parts of the active case. It's seldom you ever have to venture in here, but just in case you do, we want you to be familiar. To remove the components, we need to lift up on the latch tail enough to get the drive out. We have to be careful. There's 2 springs that want to spring out and surprise us. Once the springs are removed, the latch tail can be removed, leaving us with 1 screw visible that holds the latch in place. Grease is applied at the factory to the latch axle, the retractor, the drive portion, anywhere it contacts, as well as the lift member, the latch tail, springs, and rivets. Inside the case, grease is applied to the latch area, the slide area, the mounting posts for the drive, as well as the mounting posts and area for the thumb piece components. Reassembly, once all the components are greased, is to install the latch retainer plate screw, and here's where things get a little interesting. The springs get loaded and rivets get placed in the springs. The rivets help to guide the springs in and out of the latch tail. The tail hooks into the latch. Carefully have to position the springs. To install the drive cam, we have to retract the latch tail, hook the drive cam under, and position it on the post. With the active case internal components all installed, now it's time to install the back plate. We have the NL night latch back plate and the TP thumb piece back plate. To install the NL back plate, a small amount of grease is applied to inside the drive. The cylinder drive with radius towards the tail is installed. Back plate is positioned on top. 4 screws, job done. If the device is a thumb piece device, or you're converting from NL to thumb piece, you would install the thumb piece component at the bottom, thumb piece component at the top, and the back plate on top. Again, 4 screws, the job's done. Now that all the components are installed in the active case, we're ready to reinstall the device on the door. Here we have an 880 TP trim. You'll notice the mounting posts of the trim line up exactly with the screw holes of the device, allowing the trim to be through bolted through the door. The thumb piece comes through the door and lifts the thumb piece actuator, retracting the latch. There's an additional thumb piece actuator at the other end of the device in case the door is the opposite hand. So the device is field reversible without having to disassemble. For installation, follow the instructions included in the box. For additional information, you can visit allegiant.ca and download installation instructions, service manuals, and parts manuals. Or you can download the Von Duprin app and have it at your fingertips with complete installation instructions, templating, and parts manuals available. I hope you found this video useful, and thanks for watching.